Hi Deanna, it's Robin. I have your design open in your two different palettes, and palette-wise you did some wonderful work here with the selection of your parent colors. You chose colors along the cool analogous interval, and then but the ones that you chose did give you a pretty good amount of contrast. You could have even gotten more contrast had you bumped up the saturation a little bit more, and then that it would have been a little less muted. But it's good to see what happens when you have a more muted palette, and then with the same design, see what happens when it's much more highly saturated, more contrast. So it's very interesting to see what happens when all you're doing is making some color and some value changes. It's a beautiful design, very, very lovely. Sort of taking this circular prompt and then kind of making this floral arrangement out of it is very nicely done, and shows a lot of time into this and good design work that's happening with this too, Deanna. I like that it looks to me like you're slightly different from this to this, but even if you had sort of made this your central focal point different in terms of, even if you just did the values that that you had being different, would add a little more variety, because it tends to be a similar repeating shape, which is kind of lovely, particularly when it comes with a lot of contrast. But here it's a little on the flatter side and a little less sort of visually arresting as this one. And ways of doing that, if you do have a palette that has a little less contrast, it would be to change this up a little bit. So so thinking about kind of instead of having this be a dark, maybe have your dark be the next one, and then the next kind of the next row, and then, or maybe these are your dark. That would be kind of a nice way to to kind of have these play off each other. So you would take kind of a central area, which you have your light dots here, and then make these dark, and then that would change the pattern and maybe some of the repetition of what's going on here. Now, not to say that you want to have this look flatter, but just to add a little bit more variety, a little more visual interest. Also, be careful when you're doing something on an oval or on within a circle that you are mathematically, that your placement is equal. So so here you got a little bit off in terms of these being slightly further apart, and then they're closer together down here. Now you could play with that in terms of, if these were smaller, but I get the sense it's more of a placement issue, and you kind of hand-did this as opposed to making a design decision. These are a little cleaner, a little better, but you also have some that are slightly tucked in, and then others that are kind of coming out. So you just want to kind of be aware of some of those little tweaky things that visually, as somebody's looking at it, you have something that's very mathematical, very much a pattern, so you want to be sure that that you're accurate in terms of your spacing. But those are kind of some tweaky design things. It's a beautiful design, lovely, lots of work that you put into it, and I look forward to seeing more. Thanks.